All right, so we will be looking at the consumption function of the Cape Economics syllabus for Unit 2. We're focusing on Module 1 under the topic of the basic Keynesian module. Yeah, so before that, we have to speak about some of the assumptions of the Keynesian theory. Now, he says that prices and wages are inflexible. So, if you have not yet seen the video where we spoke about the classical module, you can go ahead and watch that first before watching this. So, basically, the Keynesian is going against everything that the classical module or classical economists assumed. So instead of saying that prices and wages are flexible, they're saying that it is inflexible. And because of that, unemployment in the economy would not automatically rectify by a fall in the wage rates. It also states that or assumes that consumption expenditure is based on the income earned by so they should be households. Income earned by all households rather than the income that would be available at full employment. So, income here is adjusted. Yeah, so you have to account for inflation. So you would use real money or real income to work out everything here in the Keynesian module. Also, saving and consumptions are influenced by factors other than inflation, interest rates. How about it? So that's just a general overview of some of the assumptions or the main assumptions of the Keynesian module. Now, as it relates to the consumption expenditure, which is what we should be focusing on, we have two main assumptions made about this by Keynes. And he says that people decisions on their consumption functions are a function of the current income, meaning what they have now, and that increments to income are partly spent and saved. So whatever income you get, you're either going to spend a part of it and the remaining is going to be saved. Or you're going to save this part and whatever is left, you're going to consume it. So therefore, we could say that consumer expenditure refers to the amount that individuals or household spend on goods and services to consume or to satisfy their consumption requirements or needs. Now, there are two types of consumer expenditure, which we'll talk about later, and this is autonomous and induced consumption. Now, autonomous means automatic because it has auto right there. So you want to spend regardless of whether income level has changed or not. So this is consumption where income level is at zero. And normally, this is because even if you don't have a source of income, meaning you're not earning money, you can still borrow money, you can still beg for money, you can still use your savings regardless of income inflows. Now, some examples of autonomous consumption would include essentials like food, your basic needs, money that the government spends on us. So it doesn't consider the income levels of individuals, right? So it's independent of income, whereas induced consumption is dependent on income level. So it's consumption that varies with the level of disposable income. So it is induced, meaning that it is triggered by a change in income. So that's just a general idea of autonomous and induced consumption. Please ensure that you guys are taking notes. Maybe I want to jot down something. Feel free to do that. All right. Now, we just spoke about autonomous and induced. Now, we have to look at deeper into the consumption function. Now, the consumption function, you could define it as a function that depicts the relationship between total consumption and the level of income. And normally, well, as I stated before, we use income that is adjusted for tax. I believe I said that. So whatever is left after taxes paid out would be a disposable income, and that's the amount that we would use, right? So the consumption function now would be a plus by. Normally, you have different ways of representing these, but this is the function that was outlined by Cape. So this is what we'll be using. Now, A represents autonomous consumption. And remember, I stated that autonomous consumption is consumption levels that is independent of changes or levels in income. So this happens automatically regardless of income. So it doesn't relies on income to determine its consumption. Whereas B would be the marginal propensity to consume. Now this is the proportion of income that gets consumed or spent as opposed to savings. And we speak about this later on. Whereas the Y represents disposable income. So together, B times Y is going to be equal to induced consumption. Following? So to get induced consumption, it would be the MPC times disposable income. So therefore the consumption function right here is just trying to say that autonomous spending plus induced spending is the consumption function. I would just break it down into BY, which says that marginal propensity to consume and disposable income. Now, graphically, this can be represented using what's this? A curve, a consumption function curve, where all right. So the consumption function, before getting to that, it is a upward sloping function. Since as income increases, so does the level of consumers' expenditure. Meaning that if you're going to start earning more, then you're going to be spending more. And if you're going to be spending more, then you're going to be saving less. So it's kind of a linear function. So it goes up. So autonomous spending occurs when income is at zero. So autonomous spending, as you can see, would be right here. So right here would be consumption. Let me add it. Ooh. So I'm gonna add a text box. I can just copy this. So this is consumption. So the axis right here would be consumption. Yeah, so it would be consumption. And it's saying that regardless of income, which would be right here. So right here would be income. I don't know why these don't labels are properly. Ooh, why did that? So right here would be income. So regardless of the changes in income, there is always going to be consumption, and this is autonomous consumption, represented by A or the blue line. Now it's trying to say that even though there is no change in income, because income would be equal to zero right here, there is still consumption, and this is why it is what is right here. So if you had the numbers, you would see a better picture of it, but that would be in another lesson where we speak about the relationship between consumption and savings. Now, normally we have a 45-degree line, which is why the consumption function is regarded as a linear function. So this line is where consumption is equal to the level of income. So it's balanced right here. So it's in equilibrium. So where the line crosses, that's where income is equal to consumption, or consumption is equal to income. So you're spending as much as you are earning. I think that's really simple to explain. So this is just a simple graphical representation of the consumption function. I'm going to look deeper into this in the next lesson. Like I said, when we speak about topic 2 under this particular topic, where we discuss the relationship between consumption and savings. Now, we're supposed to be looking at marginal propensity, and this is the proportion of income that gets spent or saved. So, marginal propensity, like I said just a while ago, is the proportion of income that gets spent or saved. And marginal propensity, therefore, is broken up into marginal propensity to save and marginal propensity to consume. So, therefore, based on definition that I gave, marginal propensity to consume, also known as MPC, or abbreviated as MPC, would be the proportion of income that consumers spend on consumption as opposed to saving it, while marginal propensity to save would be the proportion of income consumers save as opposed to spending. And because marginal, once you do econ, you're supposed to know that marginal means variable, or varies, or changes. It's related to that. So therefore, the marginal propensity to consume or to save would be the change in something. So it would be the change in consumption pattern, how much money you're saving, how much money you're not. How much money you're consuming then and how much money you're consuming now. And that would be divided by the change in income. And the same would be for marginal propensity to save, but instead of consumption, we'd have change in, it would be change in savings. So the marginal propensity to consume would be change in consumption over change in income. So it would be new minus old. So it's the current income level minus the previous income level, or the current consumption level minus the previous consumption level. And the same is for marginal propensity to save. Now, an example of this can be seen in this diagram where income level was at 0, but it has increased to 25. And as a result of that, consumption has increased from 20 to 35 and so on. Now, when income is at 0, we can see that this is autonomous consumption, as there is consumption taking place. So while income is equal to 0, there is still some level of consumption expenditure, and this is called autonomous consumption. By now, we're supposed to understand that autonomous consumption is consumption when income level is at 0, so it is independent of income level. So it acts on its own, but it's influenced by other factors apart from income. So it's just not influenced by income. And as I'm supposed to, there's an error right here. So as consumption increases, marginal propensity to consume is constant. So marginal propensity to consume is constant. So it's fixed. It doesn't vary, it doesn't change or anything. It is 0.6 for the entire change in income. And how we get that is a change in income. Well, change in consumption over the change in income. So it would be new price minus old. So it's 35 minus 25 minus 20, which is equal to 15. over the income level, which would be the new income or the current income price or level minus the previous, which in this case right here we're going to calculate the MPC would be 25 minus 0, right? Because autonomous consumption has now converted into induced because now it is triggered by the change in income. And that's how you get it. When you work it out, you're supposed to get 0.6. So do that and let me know if you get it. So this 0.6 means that the proportion of income that is consumed is 0.6. It's like 60%. Now if we were supposed to get the MPS, it would be the MPC. All right, so sorry. So MPS we want to calculate the marginal propensity to save now. It's not in the diagram, but I'm going to tell you how you do it. Now, we should note that marginal propensity to consume and marginal propensity to save is going to be equal to 1. So therefore, if we have the value for the total or the summation of marginal propensity to consume and save, which is 1, and we have the marginal propensity to consume, which is 0.6, then all we have to do is subtract. So it would be 1 minus 0.6, which would be equal to 0.4. So that would be the marginal propensity to save. And again, this should be constant. So when you add up marginal propensity to consume, so MPC and MPS, we are going to get 1. It should always be equal to 1. Now, when income level is at 0, from the diagram or from this table, marginal propensity to consume will not be equal to anything. It would be 0, nothing at all. So right here, so now the average propensity to consume, which is APC, we'll speak about it later after this. But when income level, when consumption is autonomous, then it is infinity. So you have the forever emoji, infinity, the forever thing or symbol that would be there. Couldn't find it in Word or anything like that. So yeah. So that's just the observations from this diagram, from this table. Normally, we would now plot the consumption function, where consumption would be on the vertical axis and income would be on the horizontal axis. And where consumption is equal to income, it would be right here. So let me highlight it. It would be right there. Consumption will be equal to income because now like I said, you are spending or consuming as much as you are earning till you use up everything. Now, I think I've explained this. So, all right. So now we're going to look at the average propensity to consume and save. Now, the average propensity to consume, APC, is a percentage of income that gets spent, and average propensity to save, APS, is the percentage of income that gets saved. So therefore, it was percentage. So it would be consumption over income and times 100, I guess, and savings divided by income. Yeah, so it's percentage. So you have to put it in percentage. Now, the thing with this is that the difference between average propensity to consume or save and marginal propensity is that average does with percentage and no changes, while marginal propensity has to do with changes and proportion. So it's the proportion of income and that gets spent or saved, and average propensity is a percentage. You see how that happens or see how that comes about? All right, so this is the end of today's little lesson. Tomorrow or some other time, I will continue with the relationship between consumption and savings, which is another video. That would be the second part of the consumption function. We'll go deeper into it. So this is just a general idea of it. You will learn how to plot the graphs, explain and interpret the graphs for exams and so forth. So for today, just like, share, and subscribe for more so other persons are able to come across the video or the video is able to come across to them. Alright, so thank you.